We're going to turn out our attention now to the foreign policy news of the day. Key senators forging a bipartisan deal to give Congress the power of review of any final nuclear deal with Iran. That's expected as early as this summer. The White House and Israeli government both applauding the compromise. With more, I want to bring in Gillian Turner. She's former National Security Council staffer and a Fox News contributor. Gillian, first, you're obviously very knee-deep in national security. Do you think that could ever happen in America, what we just saw happen in Europe?
You know, all I can really say is I hope not. But in light of some of the lapses we've seen, you know, on home soil here in the last year, whether it's Secret Service, drones flying over the White House, so on and so forth, you know, I really don't know with any certainty.
You're right. There's been a lot of breaches at the White House and in America as well, but that was pretty extraordinary. Let me ask you about your thoughts on this most recent compromise. Is this real? Do you think the U.S. will, in fact, be open enough to, the White House will open this up to Congress?
I think that this so-called compromise bill is really the Congress muscling its way into the Iran nuclear negotiations because there's real concern on both sides of the aisle that the president is too eager for a deal with Iran and that as a result he's going to make concessions that are problematic from a national security perspective. I think this bill is a real check on the president's negotiating power. You know, the nuts and bolts are going to require the White House to submit its deal to the Congress for review and also require the White House to periodically verify that Iran is living up to its side of the bargain.
Yeah, I understand, but do you think it actually will materialize? Will we see this pass?
I see. I think that the bill has a really good chance of passing. You know, it left the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. It's going to go before the full Senate. What we're hearing and what's remarkable about this is that this is the first sort of component of the entire P5+1 negotiating process that had any bipartisan support whatsoever. For the first time, Democrats and Republicans, junior as well as senior senators, are coming together and agreeing that this bill is a necessary measure. So I think there is some real chance of it passing.
And the White House says Obama will sign this new Iran bill. Let me ask you about the contents of it. Why is it that we're seeing a discrepancy in terms of what the framework was when you hear from the Ayatollah in Iran and President Obama?
Well, what resulted from the discrepancy that you mentioned is that, you know, there was weeks and weeks of behind-the-scenes lobbying, back and forth haggling between the White House and the Congress. This bill is a product of that. And the White House is now very urgently seeking some form of congressional buy-in, even though it's late in the game. And I think that's the reason the president was willing to make this compromise in the first place. It's from a position of sort of negotiating desperation rather than real strategy, unfortunately.
Well, it certainly represents a rare assertion of congressional power that we haven't seen over a foreign policy matter that the White House would have preferred to handle alone. I think that's pretty clear. The White House would have preferred to handle it alone, yes?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, you know, in the last just week since the framework agreement was inked, the White House has kind of embarked on this frenzy of outreach to Congress. I've heard some 130 individual phone calls as well as dozens of, you know, classified and unclassified briefings to members and committees. So they're really hitting the Congress hard now.
Gillian, good to talk with you. Thanks for your insights. We appreciate it. We'll see you soon.